Good evening, Rockdale County, and it's great to have all of you join me this evening as usual. And I'm going to talk about something that is going to be like a broken record, but unfortunately, it's something I feel passionate about. I think it's very important to the community, and it's just some more additional information I want to share with you about the SPLOST. Uh, and why I personally feel that it's as presented bad for the county, and I want to give the voters some insight on some of this SPLOST stuff and why we as voters and citizens of Rockdale County should defeat this SPLOST, and we should send it packing until this Board of Commission uh, treats us with respect and considers us an intelligent electorate and realizes that we see beyond the trickery. And it's just time, folks, that we stand up for ourselves. Go to this ballot box and tell these folks enough is enough. Vote no on this SPLOST. Send a message. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the SPLOST tonight. I'm going to do a screen share here in a moment and share some stuff with you that I think is relevant. First thing I'm going to do this evening is say hello to some folks that have joined us. Dan Burks, good evening. William Campbell, good evening. Charlotte Keller, good evening. Mary Boysworth, good evening. Anyone else who would like to chime in and say hello, we'd appreciate it because we really we love our audience. Dan Burke says he bets I'm going to show this one up here to let people know this. Dan Burke says, I bet very few citizens know how the money should be spent. And, I'm going to tell a little story about this. Justin Kinney, our resident attorney. Justin, I'm going to mention case law today. You're going to be impressed with me. So don't go away because, I love it when I have an attorney in the room and I'm going to pretend to be an attorney here in a minute. So I need a little critique. Hey, Laura Skelton, welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. So I was at the St. Patrick's Day parade this past Thursday, and a couple of citizens were there, and one of them actually happened to represent the SPLOST. And one of the citizens, I went there and I was fixed my little sandwich board sign of SPLOST vote no. So one of them pointed at me and he said, that's silly. And I said, what's silly? He said, that right there is silly. I said, you mean my SPLOST vote no? I said, why would you think that's silly? I said, I think it's very relevant, and especially how the resolution was presented and the fact that it's taking advantage of taxpayers. He said, but you're going to hurt so many projects by doing that. And I said, you name one single project that I'm going to hurt. And he said, well, those projects. And I said, what projects? They didn't mention any projects in the SPLOST. They mentioned categories and line items, but they did not mention any specific projects. And there's a gentleman from the city who's on the SPLOST committee, and he waved him over and said, hey, would you tell him that you guys put projects in the SPLOST? And he said, yeah, we put projects in the SPLOST. And it was like, well, no, you didn't put project in the SPLOST. You put categories and line items is what you put in the SPLOST. I said, you did not list any projects. For example, a project would be you intend to mill mile marker 1 to mile marker 4 Oglesby Bridge Road, mill and replace asphalt. That would be a project, listing something specific. Then I'm going to talk about a Georgia Supreme Court ruling that states you can limit how you list it, but you still have to list something. You just can't list categories and line items. And that's exactly what our Board of Commission did this time. I'm actually going to do a screen share right now, and I'm going to show you what they actually put in the resolution. It says, shall a 1% sales and use tax be continued in the special district of Rockdale County for a period of 6 years for the raising of approximately $89,100,000 for the purpose of funding roads, bridges, sidewalks, transportation, sheriff, fire, parks and recreation, courthouse, all of the benefit, all to for the benefit of Rockdale County. And then they go ahead and list for public safety, roads, whatever, for the city of Conyers. Now, there's a reason they listed that. They're attempting to abide by a Supreme Court ruling of 1992, because it's Dickey versus Story, where it allows a brief statement such as a county judicial facility to be constructed within the city of. And with me looking, I mean, I was just looking at the ruling and look, if it appeared they still wanted you to list something that they were going to do, a county judicial facility to be constructed within the city. That was an example of what the court said was okay. And here, I actually saw an I was privileged to an email, and the email stated, these are the categories that we intend to spend SPLOST funds on. So when you bid projects have line items, and a line item would be roads, bridges, sidewalks, transport. I mean, that would be a line item. And these categories would be transportation, fire, 911, parks and recreation, senior and court. Those would be categories. Roads, bridges, and sidewalks would be line items. And you would do these line items under these categories. And then they even listed vehicles down here for the city. So that's what you got to understand. There's categories and then line items. And what they did with the resolution, in my opinion, is they listed categories and line items, and they failed to list actually projects. So I think they intended to follow Dickey versus Story here, which allows a brief statement such as county judicial facility to be constructed within the city of, when they say Conyers, I think that was actually Canton there that they used, but I don't think that actually meets that standard, because they didn't list the project, because the enacting legislation says they must list projects, and they failed to list projects here. They list, like I said, categories and line items, which is far short of listing projects. I go even further because I felt, I just want to make sure no misunderstanding, since I did come from, I did want to make sure, since I had the conversation with two citizens of Rockdale, one of them did clarify, I am a citizen of Rockdale County. I said, yes, you are. So, but I want to make sure these citizens, and especially one who serves on the SPLOST committee, understands what they've actually done. So they did not list projects. They listed categories and they listed line items. There is no project listed. And in my opinion, I don't think they meet the standard of Dickey versus Story. If Justin Kenny is there and he can, do a little input in there with me, he can. If he's not familiar with the ruling, but I did some research today, and that's sort of the way I interpret it. Again, I'm not a lawyer or a judge. I have stayed in Motel 6, just making that statement. So, but I did reach out to the current chair of the SPLOST today and ask him, would he please provide me with a listing of projects that the SPLOST has approved for the upcoming, the committee has approved for the upcoming SPLOST that will be voted on in May. And he informed me there are no projects that have been approved for the upcoming SPLOST that we'll be electing. So I found that interesting. He specifically told me there are no projects that have been approved for the SPLOST that's going to be on the ballot. So with the chairman of the SPLOST, the current chairman tell me that there are no projects, then what was listed here in this question, there are no projects. These are, like I said, they are categories and they are line items that could be done in projects, but there is no specific project. And by not listing projects, I feel this question is in violation of the enacting act, the legislative enacting legislation, which allowed the SPLOST that was, I think, introduced back in the 1980s. So, I mean, I feel that this is, first of all, I don't think they lived up to their obligation to provide us with a list of projects. Like I said, again, this is a list of categories and line items that can be done within a project. So, and then we moved down here. And then I went further. I reached out to the current chairman of the SPLOST, asked him for the list. There is no list. So with there not being a list, then it is very apparent that the board of commission, by introducing this resolution, has violated the enacting legislation when they failed to provide a list of projects that would be performed under the SPLOST funds that they were asking for. And this is trickery. This is where, where we're going to list these categories and these line items, and that should be good enough. And then we can go later on and do this. And there was actually an email sent out that I had read to me from a SPLOST member a couple of months ago that stated that there were no SPLOST projects for this upcoming SPLOST as of yet, and that once the SPLOST was approved by the voters, then a SPLOST committee would be convened, and then that SPLOST committee would have the projects presented to them that the county wanted to do for them to oversee. So, and I did ask the current chair of this SPLOST did confirm that there has not been a new SPLOST committee convened yet for the upcoming SPLOST. So there is no SPLOST committee. Charlotte says that's the way they've always done it, by categories. Yes, Charlotte, but I've spoken with members of the SPLOST. They have always done it by categories, but previously there has always been a list of projects that they knew they were going to do and they had approved prior to. So but before this SPLOST, there has always been a list of actual projects that the SPLOST committee had approved to do. I've spoken with someone who has said on the past, I believe, 2 to 3 SPLOST, and they told me that the past 2 to 3 SPLOST, there had always been projects that had been approved that added up to the dollar number that we voted on. So we have done things a bit different here. That they have shown categories like that, but you could go back and ask the SPLOST chairperson of those SPLOST at that time, and they would be able to provide you with the projects that would be associated with those categories. So thanks for that insight, Charlotte, and that allowed me to actually clear it up a little bit about what's going on with this now. That's different from previous times. Now, I also want to talk to you about moving forward, and the county and any surrogates moving forward that can work to approve or have a SPLOST defeated. That'll be the yes people or the no people. So I'm going to turn back on my share screen. We're going to scroll down a little bit, and it says promoting the approval of a SPLOST. Georgia law strictly prohibits governmental agencies from expending public funds to support any campaign committee, political action committee, or other political organization for the purpose of, more importantly, the Board of Commissioners and the City Council are further prohibited from spending public funds, advertising, flyers, mailers, or any other direct promotion in support of the SPLOST. On the other hand, local officials may use county or municipal funds to prepare descriptions of the SPLOST proposal and the impact of SPLOST projects on the community and its citizens. It is critical, however, that such descriptions do not express an opinion regarding the SPLOST proposal or advocate for which way a person should vote. In any case, chambers of commerce or other business or civic groups can provide the leadership necessary to promote the SPLOST approval if the organizations engage promoting it in the approval. Now, there's other things you have to do. They must register with the Georgia Transparency and Campaign Finance Commission, formerly named the State Ethics Commission, and meet the agency's reporting requirements. Just to show you, I'm going to hold up a document here to you. This is the document that the Rockdale voter has filed. We've got this document from the Georgia Transparency and Campaign Filing Commission, and the Rockdale voter filed that document with the Rockdale County Board of Elections as required. And the Rockdale voter is a legal organization that is allowed to actually campaign and raise funds and spend funds to oppose this SPLOST. Any other individuals who intend to, organizations that intend to promote the SPLOST, they must also file that document with the local Board of Elections, which they get from the Georgia Government Transparency and Campaigns Finance Commission. They must get that document from them. They must file it with the local Board of Elections before they are allowed to raise funds and campaign actively either for or against a SPLOST. The Board of Commission is prohibited from spending funds. Now, this is the thing. Just like back in the day when the commission started their $140 million courthouse thing, they had none of their documents in place, if everybody remembers this correctly. And then after people started asking questions, then mysteriously documents and such started appearing. Well, that's why I wanted to get this out on the record today, that I've spoke with the chairman of the SPLOST committee. No projects are set. I wanted everyone to look at the question. There are categories and line items. There are no projects listed in the ballot question. You can go back and look at the resolution in whole that was presented by the county to the Board of Elections. There are no projects listed, only categories and line items. So mysteriously in the future, if these proposed projects materialize themselves on county literature and stuff, I want everyone to realize this is after the fact creation of projects that are not, because we're voting on fantasy here right now, guys. There are no projects. And when I told the individuals at the St. Patrick's Day parade, there were no projects, to tell me where the projects was. And I asked, have you read the enacting legislation where it states you must list the projects? And they said, and they've never read that, and that there were projects, and apparently they hadn't read either. And I challenge anyone who wants to discuss this SPLOST with me or someone else who has done a little research, done a little reading. I advise you to do the same thing. Educate yourself on this issue a little bit so that you can make an informed, educated conversation, because there are things, there are protocol and procedures that must be followed for this SPLOST to be legal. I don't personally believe that this SPLOST was presented in a legal manner. I don't think anybody will ever take it to court. Takes too much money. Nobody will, and that's famously what a county attorney said a few years ago about the Rockdale water and sewer. We may not be doing it right, but you're going to have to take us to court to prove that. And that is the mentality of this court and this county attorney, is we'll do things a little bit shady, and until you make us do it right, we'll keep doing it the shady way and walk that line a little bit until we're made to do the right thing. So let me ask you guys, do you guys want to approve a SPLOST that's shady, that's walking the line of being legal? Corliss Turner, no, it's I'm going to put this up because it's actually right. It's not the first time they've done something illegal, and I'm going to I think some things they've done are illegal, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt. It's some things they've done and walked the line. And Clayton Norwich, I want to put up what Clayton says. Are there projects? No projects is concerning. Unmentioned projects is equally concerning. Clayton, like I said, I spoke with the current chairman of the SPLOST today. I sent a message. Would you please send me a list of the current projects, not categories, not line items, but specific projects that will be undertaken from this upcoming SPLOST that we're voting on? There are no projects. I intend to turn in an open records request tomorrow. I intend to ask for a list of the current projects. I will include in that email the fact that I have spoken to the current chairman of the SPLOST who advised me there are no projects, so be careful what you send me. It's actually going to be in the email. I'm also going to send out another question where I am going to ask for any emails sent to SPLOST members telling them that there will be no specific projects listed and they will not be determined until a new SPLOST committee is convened after the election, the vote on the SPLOST. And I'm going to remind them that I have been, that I know people who have received this email, and the email has been shown to me, even though I don't personally have it. It's been shown to me, and that they need to know this before they tell me no such record exists. So that the county needs to be very careful how they're going to answer these ORRs that I'm going to be asking them, because if I don't get a response, I'm going to have to turn in a complaint to the the Attorney General's office because of them maybe not complying with the open records request. So, I think the county needs to be very careful, how they're not putting this out there. And you know what? They're going to talk about it tomorrow before I turn them in, because somebody's going to look at the show. They're going to have the discussion. They know these emails are coming. But that's okay. I don't care that they know these emails are coming, because I want them to know these emails are coming, because unlike them, I don't operate in the darkness. I don't operate hiding things from the citizens of Rockdale County. My goal is to be transparent and open so that the citizens of Rockdale County trust my actions and the actions of any organization that I belong to or represent. Because I want to represent myself cleanly. I want to represent myself transparently, and I want to represent myself in a manner that the citizens of Rockdale County know that if I'm telling them something, it's coming from an honest place, that I'm doing this because I want to help the citizens of Rockdale County. I want to help my grandchildren in the future, that make sure that we have a good place, because I love this county. I love, where we live, and it could be such a much better place that if we just put a little more care into it and a little more transparency. And that's all I'm saying. A little more care and a little more transparency. And that's why it's so important that we don't approve this upcoming SPLOST, because if we do, and this SPLOST is approved, then that sets these characters up for next year when they come back and attack us with this PFA. I have been assured by members of the legislature that the PFA as presented will not be approved. That the worst case scenario, that if they change how they present it to a referendum, that it would probably be put on the ballot in November for us to vote on. I welcome that every day of the week. And let me ask you guys in the chat, if a ballot question would be put for us in November to approve a PFA, a Public Facilities Authority, for this Board of Commission, how many people in this chat would vote to approve the Public Facilities Authority? And I'll just tell you, you don't know the answer that I'm going to give, because when it's something serious like this, I give the oh hell no. So my vote will actually be oh hell no, because I'm going to write oh hell no, and I'm going to actually vote no, right? So, but but the answer is, oh hell no, I'm not going to vote for that and give this board of commission the authority to appoint themselves to a board to approve their own loans. And Megan Walker, no way. And I think, and I'll tell you, folks, we've been doing a lot of talking to people, a lot of campaigning right now about the SPLOST. We've been talking to Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. Other than the two characters that I spoke with in Old Town the other day, who would support the SPLOST, but they will support anything that Oz Nesbitt throws out there. Because I referred to them as Ozians the other day. They got a little mad at me. And that's when they said, we're Rockdale citizens. And I said, but no, you're Ozians because you support anything that the chairman puts out there. You guys support it. You blindly support, even when you're supporting things that are not done on the up and up. And then that's after we had the conversation about them not be presenting projects, they felt a little bad. I could tell they were a little embarrassed. They were a little embarrassed because they didn't realize there were no projects actually presented in this resolution or on that ballot question. They actually thought there were. And then we know, I said, no, there's not. There's categories and line items. So guys, we need to stand up for what's right in Rockdale County. And standing up for what's right in Rockdale County is opposing two things. And that's opposing the SPLOST and opposing a public facilities authority. Because that public facilities authority will bankrupt you. I'm not going to say it will more than bankrupt this county. It will impact you personally, and it could bankrupt you personally. Because they are going to have to aggressively reassess property values. They will do it at such an aggressive manner that it is going to impact you. And if property values do decrease, like they're going to, because housing marks a bubble up and down, they will have to significantly raise the millage rate at any time that there is a downfall in property values. So you, the taxpayers of Rockdale County, are going to be left on the hook for all these monies. So not only could this county be bankrupt, but you as taxpayers you also run the risk of this bankrupting you personally. Now, Larry, that's a strong statement. It's a strong statement that I believe. What was it, Corliss? Let me read this. I know you said it's too expensive to get an attorney, but we need to. Yeah, it is. It's in. It is. Charlotte, isn't it? Okay. Charlotte says it would be $240 million what they could do. But, Charlotte, they in their meetings they said they could do 360. So, and and you're saying this, and this is when has this group ever followed the rules of the law? If they could get somebody to loan them $400 million, they wouldn't care. They would, whether it violated the rules of the laws. And then it's important, Alex McDonald, it's important to share this information, share the commercials we made, share the posts. People won't vote no unless they know why to vote no. And that's correct. Anybody that we've touched, anybody that we've explained the issues to, they say there's no way we can vote for this. Anybody we have communication with, anybody we talk to, anybody that sees one of the handouts that we hand out, anybody that's touched by any kind of literature or any kind of information that we give them about why the SPLOST is bad, then they immediately say, yes. Alex and I cut some commercials. Mike Terry, where can we find it? You can find information about the SPLOST and PFA at the rockdalevoter.com. We have information there, and we will be adding additional information on the rockdalevoter.com. You can actually go to Cox for Rockdale, and there are some commercials that are playing on Cox for Rockdale. We've actually shared those commercials, and we're actually running some Facebook booster ads So those should be starting to generate themselves out in the Facebook world over the next few days. I've taken out 10-day ads for a couple of commercials. So so you can find them on Cox for Rockdale. I've actually shared one of them, I think, to this week from Rockdale. I've actually shared all of those to my personal page, my Larry Cox Facebook page, and I have actually shared those commercials to the Rockdale Republican Party. So if somebody so all those commercials are available there. I shared them to everybody on my friends list, and they should be on your timelines. So we're starting to get this message out with these commercials. We're going to do a big event next week at the Cherry Blossom Festival. I'm going to talk about that next week at the Cherry Blossom Festival. We will have Vote No Splosh signs for you to come by and Charlotte Gellert, I saw the Splosh No video today on Facebook. We're going to have signs next Saturday and Sunday at the Cherry Blossom Festival for you to get. We're going to have balloons that your grandkids or kids can get that say Splosh Vote No and carry them around. We're going to fill them with helium. We'd like to get 100 of those things out there each day for kids to be carrying around and letting people see that. We've got the rack cards, the flyers that we're going to have next week that we're going to hand out to people. So we're going to have a big day promoting the Vote No Splosh next Saturday and Sunday at the Cherry Blossom Festival, and we will be doing that at the Rockdale Republican Party table. So, and you'll see us there, and we'll have a sandwich board there. We'll have signs there. Any candidate that's running as a Republican was invited to bring stuff by. Nobody's taken us up on it yet, so I have a feeling that the majority of the stuff that'll be at that booth next Saturday and Sunday will be Vote No Splosh materials. So there will be no shortage of Vote No Splosh materials. So if someone would want to actually do a little door knocking in their neighborhood and they want to hand out 20 or 25 rat cards or door knocking cards to their neighbors, come by the booth next week, get those, and go through your neighborhood and hand those out. You guys that are next door people, go on next door, have that conversation about the Splosh, and direct those people to the Cox for Rockdale to see the commercials. Direct those people to the RockdaleVoter.com so they can actually go to that page and they can read more about it. We'll be putting more information up about that. As chairman of the Rockdale Republican Party, I will be starting this coming week sending out emails weekly about the Splosh and the importance of Republican voters uniting behind this effort and voting no to send this county a message, because we can make a difference. I think if we unite as a community, and then at the end of the day, when we win this vote, which we will win this vote, when we win this vote, we go to this Board of Commission and say, now you come and negotiate with us. Don't negotiate with your friends who already agree with you. You come and negotiate with the individuals who defeated you, who will defeat you again if you try these shenanigans and you don't do what the citizens have asked you to do. The citizens agree with you. The citizens agree with you. We need to do something about the courthouse. But the citizens have already told you, we don't want to spend hundreds of millions of dollars in Old Town. The citizens told you that by a 70% vote in 2018, when 70% of the voters of this county rejected your $140 million bond request. The citizens of this county overwhelmingly have rejected that idea. But yet this Board of Commission wants to sidestep that 70% of the people. They want to create a public facilities authority. And then they want to be able to generate these bonds and loans by bypassing you, the 70% of the citizens who rejected this idea initially. That's what they want to do. They want to bypass you. You have rejected this idea, and yet they still, well, you know what? We know better than what 70% of the people of this county think. We'll do what we want because we'll trick them. We'll get a PFA passed. Then we'll just approve the loans through the PFA, and then we'll send them to ourselves as commissioners and approve the request that we okayed on the commission. Does that sound insane to anybody but me? It sounds like Mike Terry. I will put a no splash sign in my yard. Mike Terry, you can reach out to me. What I think we're going to do is there'll be a way that we can. I will talk to Ken Holmes, first vice chair of the Rockdale Republican Party, and we have a way to put that up on our website that you can send an email and ask. I think I'll do it two ways. We can actually do that through the Rockdale voter and through the Republican Party. Is we will do that. We will put that up on each, and that you'll be able to go request it, and an email will be sent to us with an address. Let's see here, Alex. What have you said? The key to winning this is reaching people. We don't have a TV station we can use. We need your help in sharing. 100%, Alex. We do not have a TV station. We have social media. We have a ground game. We have verbal communication. We have each other. And it's just like the $140 million bond. It's spread through the community. It's spread through the community. And through the community, we were, Catherine Lynn says, in her opinion, it's going to be difficult. People are used to paying that extra penny. But, people are just used to voting yes for the SPLOS. As I've approached people, Catherine, and we discuss it with them, they've got no problem voting no. I actually think the issue is we never give people a reason to vote no. I think people want a reason to vote no. If you give them a reason to vote no and you reach enough people, then a no vote is easy. It's just like the bond for the $140 million. That should have been an easy yes also. But you had a group of individuals in this community that gave people a reason to vote no. And you've got a good group of people in this community. You've got more people in this community that are going to work against this SPLOST that worked against that $140 million. And that's a clear message there. When you've got more people that are going to work against the SPLOST than worked against the 140, I think we've got a really good chance of defeating this SPLOST. And we've got a group of people that are going to raise money, spend money, and do that. You saw what I put up. The county is prohibited from spending. Let's hope they go ahead and try to funnel money and spend money. Because you know what? Then that gives us a reason to have these characters thrown out of office. Let's hope that they violate the law again. And then let's go after them for violating the law. They will try to get their friends, their Aussians, to do this. But let's see how motivated they are. Let's see how motivated they are to spend their own monies to do this. I've already invested quite a bit of my own money into this. So, I mean, I believe in it, and I've put my own money in it. So, I mean, I believe that there are other people, and I've got donations from other people. So we've already had a good group of people also donating money. So we have money to spend toward this, and we have formulated a plan and a campaign. So when you have a campaign planned to oppose a ballot question, the ballot question is in trouble. Just telling you right now, when you have a concentrated effort by a group of individuals that have an actual campaign strategy to defeat a yes or no ballot question, that ballot question is in jeopardy. I just go back to 2018 and give you the example of the bonds for the $140 million courthouse. It was a small group of people who did not spend a whole lot of money. And they were able to defeat a $140 million courthouse question by 70%. I think that we will be able to repeat that with this SPLOST and send a clear message to this Board of Commission. Now, I'm not taking this for granted, because you're right. And if we don't put up a campaign, we don't tell people why they should vote no, and we don't touch people, then they would probably just automatically do that yes vote that they've always done. But people want a reason to vote no for tax increases. And we're not saying, I'm personally not saying, because there are people who actually work with me that don't believe we should ever have a SPLOST. I'm not one of those. I do believe that a SPLOST is a good way to raise funds to do capital expenditure projects like a courthouse or a fire station or bridges or roads or repair the dam that we need for our drinking water, our reservoir. The SPLOST has its purpose, and we need to quit using the SPLOST to supplement budgets. One of the SPLOST members' concern was that if we don't pass the SPLOST, that the sheriff will come to a $1.5 million underrun. I said, it's impossible for the sheriff to come to an underrun if we don't pass the SPLOST. Oh no, the sheriff's department relies on the SPLOST, or they'll have a $1.5 million underrun. I said, well, you're breaking the law. If you are supplementing the sheriff's budget with SPLOST funds, that is specifically listed as a violation in the enacting legislation, that M&O budgets cannot be supplemented. You cannot supplement budgets with the SPLOST. It is specifically forbidden. So that shows we have an underlying practice that has been going on in this county for, my mic went off. We have an underlying practice that has been going on in this county for years, and it's got to stop. We cannot allow this to occur any longer. We've got to stop the shadiness, guys. We can't go along with the shadiness anymore. I know business people from Atlanta, right? They tell me that they purposely bypass Rockdale County to go to Newton County because they don't want to do business in Rockdale County because of our government. They don't want to do business in Rockdale County because we're shady. Point blank been told to me. Don't want to do business in Rockdale County because Rockdale County's too shady. Rockdale County, your politicians are looking for too much of a handout. They're looking for too much. Costs too much to do business in Rockdale County. Been told that, guys. Been told that by business people. Can't do business in your county. Costs too much to do business in your county. Your public officials are looking for too much. So it's time to stop the looking for too much. It's time for us as the citizens of Rockdale County to say enough is enough. Say no to that SPLOST. Vote no. Voting starts May 2nd through May 20th. Election day is May 24th. You can send a strong message by voting no for the SPLOST and tell this county that the abuse and misuse of tax dollars has gone on way too long, that we can't tolerate it and won't tolerate it, that the citizens of Rockdale County see through the darkness. What's Alex saying? Let me put Alex's thing. Look like the Democrats will have a ballot questions also. Yeah, Alex, the Democrats do have ballot questions also. They have 3 ballot questions. So the Republicans and Democrats both have ballot questions. That's another interesting thing. I spoke with several Democrats while I was doing my SPLOST thing, which all those Democrats told me they're not going to vote for the SPLOST. And they were torn because they want to pull the Republican ballot because they like our questions better. And that they want to answer the Republican questions. Yes, Alex, it's a way to reintroduce it and to use it properly, and that's what we want to do. We want this county to reintroduce this SPLOST next year, because once we defeat it, takes it off the table for 12 months. They can't introduce it again for 12 months. And that's when they need to come and negotiate with the individuals who are who are the individuals that are objecting to this. Diane Collins, hey Diane, how are you doing? Nice to have you on the show tonight. You've missed 45, 50 minutes of my ranting against the SPLOST, but I just didn't rant, Diane. I presented evidence, I presented information, and I think people who go back and watch this are going to be very interested in the information that I put out here tonight. And I think they're going to be interested in what's going on in the county and how the county does business and how the county tries to manipulate the voters of Rockdale County. Because that's exactly what it is. It's our elected officials and our bureaucrats that continuously try to manipulate and mislead the citizens of Rockdale County. They don't want us to know the truth. They don't want us to know what's really going on. They don't want you to really know, because how many things have they added? Charlotte Gellert knows this because she's mentioned it a couple of times. I've seen some correspondence. They will add information. They will add agenda items after the meeting, so there can't be any discussion about it for the next meeting, because they don't add it until after the work session. They add it to the agenda, and then you vote on it at the voting session before there's any public comment. So they avoid public comment on controversial things by throwing it on the agenda after the fact, so it can't be discussed in public comment. And then they're able to vote on it the next session without there ever being comment on it. So, I mean, that's a little slick move, guys. So, we didn't add it to the agenda. We amended the agenda, added it afterwards, and then we vote on it the next session before you have an opportunity to comment on it. So, Newton County just list a specific projects there and the cost with their SPLOST. Rockdale County has no excuse because they don't care if they have an excuse, Ben. They just do what they want to do and how they want to do it, because like we're told, if you think we're doing wrong, then you might have to take us to court and prove it. Go take us to court so we can spend your own tax dollars to defend ourselves against you. Alex, the only project it needs to list is the courthouse. If it does not, there's absolutely no need for the PFA. So they listed courthouse. It's listed, but then they claim they're going to do these security and American Disability Act repairs. But I spoke with an individual who was on the courthouse committee this week and asked him about the ADA stuff, American Disability Act. He said through their they got a lot of information and a lot of details, and what they were told was that the ADA that those violations, they had no intentions of closing the courthouse unless there was significant repairs done to the courthouse or remodeling. And during that, they didn't address ADA. So the courthouse as is grandfathered, and they can't do anything to it as is. So that's just a scare tactic that they're using right now in something they say. So the $20 million, what I was told, is like 3 million. And then the other portion they were going to use for land purchase, to purchase land to build another courthouse in Old Town. So that's what I was told, that they were going to, that the 20 million for that's allocated to the court, 19 point whatever, like 2.5 to 3 million would be used for some repairs at the courthouse. And then the rest of it was going to be used for land purchase in Old Town to build the new courthouse that they want to borrow hundreds of millions of dollars. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Clayton, there are no SPLOST projects to think are bad or good. So I've not said that I oppose the SPLOST. I oppose this SPLOST as presented because they've presented no projects. I have said that a courthouse is good. Road projects are good. Bridge projects are good. If they decide to build or repair the dam that our reservoir needs some repairs, that is good. If they would want to build a fire station, which we've got plenty, but if they want to build another one, that is something that they can use for SPLOST funds. That is good. But the continuation of using the SPLOST funds to supplement budgets is not right. And I'll tell you this, Clayton, if we don't have any special projects that actually need to be accomplished, then we don't need a SPLOST. If we don't actually have special purpose projects, then we don't need the SPLOST. We just don't need to tax ourselves an extra penny just to be giving the county money to waste. Then we can give ourselves a tax break. And I feel strongly about that. We just don't need to have a SPLOST to have a SPLOST. If there are actual projects that we truly need to fund, then we need the SPLOST. If there are projects that if we're just doing it to supplement budgets, we don't need it. So, guys, like I said, I'm not against a SPLOST if it is funded properly for the right reasons. But if we continue to not use the SPLOST funds for the right reason, then I'll oppose it every single time. And you as citizens should too, because you shouldn't want your tax dollars to be spent improperly. You shouldn't want them to be abused and misspent. So I challenge each and every one of you, do a little bit of soul searching. Do a little bit of thinking yourselves about what's going on right now. So I want you guys to reach out to us and help us. So I think there's a lot of passionate people in here. Alex and I are doing our part. Ken Holmes is doing his part. There's actually a lot of people in here that have reached out and said that they want to do things. And there's a lot of people in the community that have said they want to do things. And I'm just going to ask each and every one of you, think about it long and hard and what you can do to help protect the most vulnerable people in this county, the taxpayers and our seniors, and that we don't want people to be abused and misled in this county. And that's what we're attempting to do. We don't want people to continuously be misled and abused by this Board of Commission, and we feel that's what's going on. And I strongly feel it, and I strongly oppose it. And Charlotte just said there was a SPLOST. There was a SPLOST defeated years ago because the projects listed were not needed. And I think, wasn't that like 2002 or something like that, Charlotte? So yeah, there was, and if they defeated a SPLOST that had projects that weren't needed, don't you think we need to defeat a SPLOST that there are no projects listed whatsoever? There are no projects listed. There are categories and there are line items. So I say to you, the citizens of Rockdale County, we need the Rockdale Board of Commission to give us a real SPLOST list. And that list needs to be the priority needs to be a courthouse at Parker Road. That's the message that this SPLOST defeat will send. The thing that we're going to send the message is, don't present another SPLOST until you decide to handle the courthouse issue. Build at Parker Road for a reasonable amount of funds. That's the message we need to send. And if it means we defeat the SPLOST this year and we defeat it next year, till this bunch of clowns gets it in their head that the citizens do not want hundreds of millions of dollars of loans spent on a courthouse in Old Town, then that's what we need to do. I'm going to let you guys go this evening. I have ranted and raved for nearly an hour. Lord have mercy. When I first started doing this solo, I wondered if I was going to be able to do it and do all this talking. You guys see, I have no problem talking for an hour if I need to. So I want to thank all of you for listening. I want to thank you for the great comments. And I want to thank you guys for bringing these comments that make me explain things a little further and in detail. I appreciate it. Clayton, I appreciate it every time you challenge me and make me explain something in detail the way it needs to be explained. Alex does the same thing when he'll bring things up and it reminds me of what I actually need to say, some things that I need to put forward. Charlotte does the same thing. I appreciate Charlotte greatly too with her, because she does a lot of open records requests and she's a wealth of information. So I want to personally thank you guys for what you guys also bring to the show, because without the audience and without the comments, I think it would be a lot more difficult to do this show, and you guys make it a lot easier. So thanks everybody. Until next week, have a good week, and let's see what we can do to change Rockdale County. Thanks, everybody.